Cool. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me start off by thanking BW Education for this invitation to speak. It's quite an honor to speak in front of such a distinguished audience. Coming after the long list of speakers is quite a challenge because most of you guys have whittled away all my thunder through the morning. So there isn't a lot to say. So the good part of this is maybe I can go much faster than I was hoping to go earlier. So I'll try and keep this short. I want to talk about just a couple of things. One of the first things, let me start off with a quick story. So my father's a career academician, taught all his life, retired as Dean of Faculty of Fine Arts in Baroda, and he's Professor Emeritus at IIT Bombay as well. So about 4 years ago, he's teaching these students, and he sees that the students are checking something under the desk. Right? Every time he throws out a date or a fact, something's going on under the desk. And he pulls one student aside and asks him what's going on. And he says, every time you tell us a date, we are actually checking if the date is right. And that was quite an epiphany for him in terms of what his role is. Till that point, he strongly believed that his role was that of imparting knowledge to give these students facts and be able to relate those facts together. But the big epiphany for him and for us as well was the role of the professor was changing very fast and very aggressively. And Dr. Sancheti talked about that a while ago, where he said, you know, the role of the university is changing, but the role of the professor is also changing, where the professor is now becoming a mentor and a facilitator rather than a fountain of knowledge. So we went across the country over the last 2.5 years talking to professors and students from more than 200 colleges to try and understand what this changing role of a professor actually means to them, right? What changes have happened. And professors started talking to us about various issues, like, you know, the body of knowledge being very large, like, you know, how challenging it is to teach in class. Technology is changing so fast, the flux through which the world is going, so on and so forth. The list was long, but the number one issue that every professor talked about after we managed to talk to them for a half an hour or more was irreverence from the students in class. And this is a very interesting conversation that we were having, where most professors said that students aren't the same anymore. They don't listen to us. They don't care. They don't really want to learn, or at least that was the perception. And we started looking at what this really means, trying to dig deeper into what irreverence really means in this context. And it boiled down to two things, which was bottom line was that irreverence was an outcome of irrelevance. And that irrelevance was born out of two things, which is what is being taught in class, but more importantly, how it is being taught in class. So what is changing and changing quite fast? Various speakers talked through the day about partnering with industry, about setting up innovation labs, about revamping their curriculum. AICT recently went through an entire revamp of the curriculum. Most private universities are doing a great job of creating programs which are very much in line with what industry expects today. So the content is being taken care of. But the other challenge, which is about how the content is being delivered, is something which is not necessarily being paid attention to as much. And that's where we decided to focus our attention, right? All right. So the other question we asked the student was, what if attendance was no longer required? Would you still sit in class? And most of them came back and said, probably not. And that was quite telling to us, right? Even the best of the professors were having this challenge. So what was off? And the big lesson we started learning was what learning and teaching meant in our day and age was very, very different from what learning and teaching means today. Back in my day, for example, it was about long hours, focused, concentrated, maybe sitting in a library. While students in today's day and age are sitting in cafeterias, learning in short punches, and it's more about interacting with others to learn. It is about the collaboration, and the process of learning has changed. And the big gap was not so much about industry and academia. The big gap, as it started evolving through our discussions, was about teaching and learning. The teaching processes haven't changed, but the learning processes have changed drastically. And if we don't reconcile teaching and learning quickly enough, we are going to be in a very different type of a fix where universities and colleges and, more importantly, professors will start getting irrelevant through this whole process. So this is what Xcelerator does. We've created a methodology for teaching and learning, also for curating and creating content and being able to deliver it in a lot more engaging way, which obviously leads to a lot of content being generated out of it. There's a technology platform, but we also realized that technology wasn't really the issue here. It's more of a trigger and a facilitator. The problem is more about behavioral issues, about cultural issues, about systemic issues that have to be addressed over a period of time. And that's where the community aspect becomes extremely important. So it's a large community on the platform with industries, industry experts, colleges, professors, and obviously students on there as well. And the most important part was this can't be done by anybody on their own. So it wasn't about one university addressing that issue or a particular college or a particular company or industry or even one startup doing it. And it had to be done together because working in collaboration with industry for relevance was important. If you work with only one company, they are more focused on telling you what they need. What we need to understand is what a particular industry or domain needs, and that kind of understanding does not come unless a large number of companies are contributing to the process. The next one was about sharing best practices, failure, success amongst colleges, because colleges are doing a great job on their own. There are other colleges and universities and institutions that could use their help, and that does not happen as much as it should. And that's the other reason for a consortium or a community to be formed around this. And the last part was, not every institution does everything really well. So giving the students an opportunity to learn from the best in that space was very important, and having a consortium of this nature was helping. So this is what we are trying to do, create a community and a consortium for change. And this is how far we've come so far. There's more than 30,000 students on the platform. We've delivered more than 150,000 hours of project-based learning across the country. We have more than 200 industry-relevant projects, and the number keeps rising every day. I had to cross that out because I didn't have time to change the graphic, but we have more than 180 companies on the platform, more than 2,000 jobs on the platform, where we are making sure that intervention and outcome are directly related, and it's no longer just a notional conversation about if you do this, you might get a job. Here, every job on the platform is actually directly related to a set of interventions. So if you go through those interventions, you get a job. It's as simple as that. So this is what we do. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much.